the wildcard is active for Gameweek 8 after the news that 7 matches will go ahead. Last weekend's postponements meant that Gameweek 7 became a blank game week for all teams. This is how the squad was looking pre-wildcard. I sold Jesus to Mitrovic just before the Gameweek 7 deadline because I had 2 free transfers. At that point, I was mainly looking to free up funds. Arsenal's fixtures toughen up after Brentford, which was uncertain to go ahead at the time, and Mitrovic is a player that I knew I'd want in the longer term. But after confirmation of the 7 matches that will go ahead, and even with 2 free transfers available for Gameweek 8, I didn't think it was worth delaying the wildcard any further. I could have sold Salah and Robertson for De Bruyne and Perisic, for example, but I'd still be fielding a team with the likes of Reed, Neto and even Greenwood in the starting 11. So I've hit the button and activated my wildcard, and here's how the latest draft is shaping up. The goalkeepers and defenders are completely unchanged from my wildcard draft on Monday, so if you haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out for a more detailed reasoning behind selecting these players. My main thinking here is to take funds out of defence and risk going without any Liverpool assets for the next 4 game weeks. With the Newcastle double up, you're not only banking on clean sheets in my view. Pope is averaging a remarkable 4.7 saves per game, which is better than any other goalkeeper this season, while Trippier ranks second only to Alexander-Arnold amongst defenders for attempted assists and total crosses. He's a persistent threat from set pieces, having converted 1 of his 4 direct free kicks already this term. I'm fairly set on this defence, but 2 names I'd like to mention as potential alternatives that I might consider in my final wildcard draft are Ivan Perisic and Wesley Fofana. Spurs have got that great fixture at home to Leicester to target this weekend, but I'm not sure I fancy the ongoing concern over whether or not he'll start. I've currently got Reece James on the bench as per Monday's wildcard draft, but I have flirted with the idea of downgrading him to Fofana, who looks fantastic value at 4.4 million, in order to put even more funds into midfield. It's not something that I'm likely to do, because of the far superior attacking threat that James offers, but I'm interested to see how Graham Potter sets Chelsea up, and whether he sticks with the 3-4-3 formation. There's just the one change in midfield since Monday's video, which sees Gabriel Martinelli reclaim his place at the expense of Marcus Rashford, whose fixture against Leeds has now been postponed. Martinelli is a real headache for me. He's been one of the top performing players so far this season, both in terms of FPL points and expected goal involvement, but he faces Spurs, Liverpool and Man City in the next 5 game weeks. No midfielder has fired as many as his 20 shots this season, while only Wilfred Zaha can better his total of 4 big chances. Zaha is definitely someone I've got my eye on, and if I could find the extra million to upgrade Martinelli to him here, that would tempt me. Between Game Week 10 and Game Week 16, Crystal Palace face the likes of Leeds, Leicester, Everton and Nottingham Forest. 6 of their 7 matches in that run have a difficulty rating of 2. Alan St-Maximin is another midfield option that I'm considering, most likely as an alternative to De Bruyne, which would see a place for Harry Kane up top. He's played a direct hand in 4 goals across his last 2 outings, though doubts remain over his fitness. His injury wasn't thought to be too serious, and he had a chance of returning for last weekend's postponed match, so hopefully Eddie Howe clears things up in his press conference. The only other change from Monday's draft comes up front, where Brennan Johnson has been upgraded to Alexander Isak, using the money saved by keeping Martinelli. It's still early days for the Swede, but after scoring against Liverpool on his debut, he's averaging 0.78 expected goals per 90 minutes. That puts him 4th amongst forwards with a minimum of 150 minutes played, behind Bamford, Darwin Núñez and Haaland. But that spot is still a debate for me. I also like the look of Dominic Solanke's fixtures from Game Week 9 onwards, and Brennan Johnson I still think can offer value at 5.9 million. The 2 promoted strikers are both more than $1 million cheaper than Isak, and have penalty-taking duties, which I'd expect Callum Wilson to retain for Newcastle when fit. As mentioned before, there's also the option to upgrade that 3rd forward spot to Harry Kane, by downgrading De Bruyne in midfield. Kane would provide an alternative captain option for home fixtures against Leicester and Everton in the next 4 game weeks, but he'd make it more difficult to move back to Mo Salah in the future, requiring multiple transfers. And given how well Erling Haaland is performing, it's unlikely that I'll be moving the armband away from him anytime soon. With last week's postponements offering everyone a chance to rest, I fully expect him to start against Wolves this weekend and continue his exceptional start to the season.